been saying that whites are smarter than blacks for hundreds of years, baby, right? And we've only had these IQ tests for, what, 20, 30 years. Now, how did the IQ of white intellectual superiority originate in the first place?
Well, that's a very interesting point. My theory is that it's based on the fact that light-skinned blacks are smarter than dark-skinned blacks.
Say what?
Julian Bond was an exceptional man who came to notoriety in difficult times. When a good part of America was seeking every manner of racial injustice against blacks, Bond stood his ground as an intellectual, a man who refused to allow anyone to drag him into the pit of hate and rhetoric, and who firmly believed in racial equality, not with boorishness, but using brains. He used those brains to, at the very least, make the conversation civil, able to be discussed among people of every race and at every level of racial belief. The least he could do with such an interesting life was get the conversation started.
Grandson of a slave and son of a college president, Bond attended Atlanta's Morehouse College, where he was a student in a philosophy class taught by Martin Luther King Jr. In the 1960s, Bond helped lead the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, known as SNCC, planning nonviolent protests throughout the segregated South. At the age of 26, Bond was elected to the Georgia state legislature and served there 20 years. He made a run for Congress but lost an epic race to fellow civil rights activist John Lewis in 1986. He was also the first president of the Southern Poverty Law Center, which advocates for justice and equality, and later chairman of the NAACP, and served more than a decade in that post. 2 years ago, Bond spoke at the 50th anniversary of the 1963 March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom.
We're still being tested by hardships and adversity, from the elevation of stand your ground laws to the evisceration of the Voting Rights Act. But today we commit ourselves, as we did 50 years ago, to greater efforts and grander victories. Thank you.
I didn't agree with everything Bond stood for, but that's okay. Disagreement is good. It brings forth conversation that changes things. And let's be honest, those who have followed Julian Bond, when it comes to bringing about peaceful ideas to difficult questions, to use the sports metaphor, they couldn't hold his jockstrap.
In the spirit of Donald Sterling, you think you should be banned from TV for all the racist stuff you said over the years?
What racist stuff?
White folks was in the cave when we had built empires. We taught philosophy and astrology and mathematics before Socrates and them Greek homos ever got around. Yes! You want to be the only on television.
There's new in reaction today about LeBron James's move from Cleveland to Miami. The Reverend Jesse Jackson brought slavery into the discussion. Jackson said Cavs owner Dan Gilbert personified a slave owner mentality. He also criticized Gilbert's open letter to fans, saying it put LeBron in danger, and viewers are sounding off on this on Facebook. Ike Brunson says, I'm African American, and LeBron blanked me off. Jesse Jackson is an idiot. If you don't live in the city of Cleveland, Akron, you really don't have any idea how much this hurt, he wrote. Deborah Rosenberg Snyder adds, oh please, then most of Ohio thinks of LeBron as a runaway slave, a whole state of racists? I think not, she says.
So if the federal government will not intercede in our affairs, then we must rise up and kill those who kill us. Stop them and kill them and let them feel the pain of death that we'll feel.
Sharpton, Jackson, Farrakhan, despicable, hateful clown voices seeking nothing more than racial conflict. Sad to say, these are the voices being paid a level of attention to because they say the most outrageous, divisive, evil commentary that will ensure no racial peace in our time. It's sad we bid farewell then to Julian Bond when this generation needs him more than ever. Then again, it remains up to us to note the racial stooges who can think of nothing better than to incite violence, insult races and religions, use the word slavery where none exists, and of course, make a fast buck any way they can. Listen to them, become them, and be part of what rips America apart racially every single day. The memory of Julian Bond deserves better from people of every race. That's my opinion, telling it like it is. Rock on, true believers. See you tomorrow, right back here on The Hardline.